Hello everyone. So this video is going to be my thoughts on the Mahabharata part 2. Part 1, just type it in, what I just said, except put 1 instead of a 2. You'll be able to find it and put Hunter Salazar first, of course. But today, I'm going to be mainly talking about Yudhishthira, but we might veer off. I tend to veer off when it comes to videos like this. Also, my thoughts are not going to follow a linear fashion. Just like I said in the first part of this, it will be kind of like just nebulous. Let's put it that way. Okay, so in the Mahabharata, when Yudhishthira and the other Pandava brothers and Draupadi are climbing this mountain, the mountain to heaven, it's the end of their lives. They've decided it's time to try the final task, and either to succeed or fail in it. And that's going to be climbing a mountain in the Himalayas to reach heaven. Keep in mind, this is very similar to climbing up through the chakras, reaching enlightenment, reaching liberation, reaching moksha. In this case, Swarg is what they're trying to reach in the story, moksha in the symbolism, for the most part. Swarg is not the highest heaven. It is where you go when where every desire is satisfied. You burn off your good merits, and you come back down here to reach moksha. So if you get to Swarg, how much merit you have due to the laws of Dharma, the Dharmic code, code of the universe, however many merits that you have, that's expended in this place. Rather than it being a stepping stone to moksha, Swarg is more where you go, where, it's a really nice place to live and you kind of burn off your merits. Narg is where you go to burn off your demerits, and it's described as like kind of a subterranean darkness kind of realm. Swarg is like a sky realm, clouds, devs, divinities there, and the like. So, Yudhishthira and his brothers are climbing this mountain, and one by one, the other brothers and Draupadi fall off as they're climbing. Each brother, except for Yudhishthira, don't make it to the top, because later in their lives, even though they were right in the war in the Mahabharata, they were on the good side. Later on, they caved into their weaknesses. They caved into various flaws. Arjuna was envy. He was the best archer in the world, as he said, and he was envious. He coveted that title, and he was envious to any other archer. And for that envy, he couldn't make it up. And Bhima, he caved into gluttony, couldn't make it up, fell as well. Nakula, he caved into vanity. And Sahadeva, once again, I'm sorry for my pronunciations, but he caved into smugness, to pride, he fell off. Draupadi, I believe, anger. It's not so much that they experienced these things as they were going up, as much as it is the next half of their life after the war in the Mahabharata. They caved into these flaws that they had, and they became flaws to such a degree that they weighed them down, metaphysically speaking. So Yudhishthira gets to the top. Yudhishthira, he gets to the top. He is the most honest man. He's the eldest brother, except for Karna. Karna fought on the other side and was killed by Arjuna. Yudhishthira, the most honest. He only told like one kind of half lie in his life. And then it's said that when he did that during the Mahabharata war, his chariot finally touched the ground, and his feet finally touched the ground. Besides that, he never told a lie, and his only flaw was that he was infatuated to gambling, and he wasn't good at it, and he later got better at it, and he later understood not to make the mistakes that he made, but that was his one flaw, was gambling. He didn't have any other flaws. So he gets to the top, and he's at the top of this mountain peak, and he's looking up, and the Daves are there. Gods, you can say minor gods, demigods. And they're saying, welcome, you made it to the top. You deserve entry. But you have to leave that dog that's behind you. And Yudhishthira's like, what dog? And he looks off to the side, and next to him in the snow is this dog. And it's, it's smiling like dogs do. It's wagging its tail. It's looking at him. And he said, this animal that followed me so loyally and so selflessly, and he made it up the mountain. Obviously, he doesn't have. He must be one of the best of dogs. Why can't he come in? And the Dave said, paradise is not a place for dogs. Leave him. You've already renounced your brothers. You've already renounced worldly possessions, worldly existence. Leave this dog. And he said, I can't leave a defenseless creature that loves me. And he didn't. This wasn't even his dog, but it's like this dog made it up the mountain. He loves me. Look at him. He looks up to me. How can I leave this dog? And then they said, you can't come in if you want to bring that dog. He said, fine, I will stay out here with this dog in the cold rather than go into Swarg. And the Daves look down and they smile and they say, this is no ordinary dog. This is your father, Dharma. You could say Yama as well. God of Death and Dharma. It's sometimes just called Dharma or Yama. Dharma is used more often in various versions of the Mahabharata when you get to this point in the story. And then the dog kind of like, fades away, and it looks very happy, and it's fading away. Yudhishthira, that was his final test by Dharma. Would he leave this defenseless animal who had followed him and who loves him? Would he leave it behind, even though it's not his dog? Would he leave it behind for the sake of heaven, for the sake of all of his desires being satisfied? And he still wouldn't. He'd rather stay in the frigid cold with that dog rather than leave it defenseless and alone. So that the dog disappeared. He goes up to Swarg, above the clouds. And he gets there, and he sees all the Kuru brothers, all 100, Duryodhana. He doesn't see us Swataman, I don't think. Duryodhana and all his brothers. And he says, how are they here? Weren't they the ones that coveted land? Weren't they the ones that instigated the war more so than the Pandavas, my brothers? How can they be happy in here? And the Dave said, you still hold on to old grudges? Old attachments? You renounced everything, but you still hold on to this old hatred, this old attachment to hatred of prejudice, of you don't forgive. And he said, this doesn't make any sense. How can this be Dharma? And obviously the Kuru brothers, they died on the battlefield fighting the Pandavas, but they died on Kurukshetra, and anybody who dies there gets to go to Swarg, at least for a time. That's kind of the nature of the place. But the idea was Yudhishthira still had some attachment to his resentment. So he says, okay, where are my brothers? Where are my brothers? Where's my wife, Draupadi? And the Dave said, one of them says, okay, follow me to where they are. And they climb back down. In the Peter Brooks Mahabharata is a really good film. It's adapted from play. Didn't have a whole lot of funding, but if you look it up on YouTube, it's free. Peter Brooks Mahabharata. It's a very good rendition. It's kind of skeletal. It doesn't give all the little details like the Jaya version of Mahabharata, like by Dev Dutt Parknaik, I believe. I'm pretty sure I'm saying his name wrong, but it's called, Jaya Mahabharata. You can find an audiobook or an illustrated version, which I also have. So one of the Daves, takes him down to where his brothers are. They climb down the ladder in the movie, but really it's an idea, you're climbing down to basically a hellish type realm, Narg. And, the Dave in front of him is holding a torch, and it's, in a lot of retellings, it's Vyasa, the one who composed everything and put it all together, the Mahabharata. Maybe not the Bhagavad Gita, which is in the Mahabharata, which is called the Hindu Bible by some. But anyway, Vyasa or Dave, it guides him down into the subterranean cavern with a torch. And he's like, and then Yudhishthira is like, how much further is it? Do we have to keep going? And he's like, it's a little bit further. He keeps on going further and further down this really dark cavern. And he starts and Yudhishthira starts smelling rotting flesh, starts hearing shrieks and screams of pain. But it's not fire. It's a place of darkness and fear. I think Padmanabh Yogananda described hell. He said it's not a place of fire. It's a place of darkness and fear. Narg fits that description very well. So, and then he gets down there, and he starts hearing his brothers say, "Don't go." It's like, and then Yudhishthira's like, "Where are you?" Also, Yudhishthira, he was the only one that could enter Swarg with his own body. He didn't have to die. That requires a lot of merits, a lot of honesty, and to be a really, really good person. So it makes sense that he could take his body also to Narg. And his brothers and Drabi say, "Don't go, we're in pain." And he doesn't see them. They're not physical form, but their spirits are there. And he's like, and then Yudhishthira's like, this is terrible. How are they here? And Vyasa or Dave is like, should we go? Are you ready to go back up? And he hears his brothers again say, "Don't go. Our pain is lessened when you're here." And Yudhishthira's like, he's like, "No, I will stay here with my family." And the Dave or Vyas starts to go back and says, "You still hold on to attachment. You still are attached to who you were on this earth. When everything is connected, ultimately there are no affiliations. Everything is one. Everyone is connected." And Yudhishthira starts to realize, I still do have attachments. And then he reaches and he thinks about it. He sits there in Narg for a little bit, thinks about it. And, Narg also isn't a place where somebody goes forever, a place where you burn off demerits. But he sits there, and it's said that he reached enlightenment or moksha while he was sitting there thinking on what he still had left as far as attachments go to the planet. He reached moksha, enlightenment. And of course, he might have rose up again, maybe higher than Swarg even. But it's, the whole Mahabharata is like it's many lessons in it. In the Mahabharata, one big theme is, that's an old Indian saying as well, when one prefers one's own children to the children of others, then war is near. And I think war wouldn't be that near all the time if perhaps we would take this saying to heart. At any rate, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this, hit that thumbs up down there on YouTube. If you want to leave a comment, that also helps traffic to the channel. And feel free to share this wherever you want. I'll be making more parts. This is part 2 of my thoughts on the Mahabharata. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was interesting, and I try to answer whatever questions that you put down there as well, if you have any questions. At any rate, thank you very much for watching. All of you are wonderful. Be safe. I love you, and you are my fellow human beings. Have a wonderful day.